Subscribe to my YouTube channel for deeply emotional, romantic, and mature stories that echo through your heart. Don't forget to like, share, and comment to support meaningful storytelling. The silence in Margaret's house had become her unwelcome companion. It filled every corner, settled into every crease of the freshly laundered sheets she folded with mechanical precision. At 52, she had grown accustomed to the quiet, though she wouldn't say she had made peace with it. The divorce papers had been signed 18 months ago, and her youngest had left for college just last fall. Now, Saturday afternoons meant solitary chores and the distant hum of her neighbor's lawnmower, a reminder that life continued its rhythm around her. Even when hers felt suspended an amber dot, she lifted another towel from the basket, shaking it out with more force than necessary. The fabric snapped in the air like a flag of surrender. Margaret had always prided herself on running an efficient household, but lately, even the most mundane tasks felt heavy with meaning she couldn't quite name. Was this what empty nest syndrome felt like? Or was it something deeper, a recognition that she had spent so many years being someone's wife, someone's mother, that she had forgotten how to simply be Margaret? The doorbell rang, cutting through her thoughts like a blade through silk. Margaret glanced at the clock on the laundry room wall, 2:47 p.m. She wasn't expecting anyone, and unexpected visitors had become rare in her carefully ordered life. She set down the towel and walked to the front door, her bare feet silent on the hardwood floors. Through the peephole, she saw a young man standing on her porch, his dark hair catching the afternoon sunlight. He was tall, perhaps in his early 20s, with the kind of easy posture that suggested confidence without arrogance. She didn't recognize him, but something about his presence made her heart skip unexpectedly. "Can I help you?" she asked through the door, her voice carrying a note of curiosity rather than suspicion. Double quotes. "Mrs. Chun, I'm David Morrison. I think I might be your son." The words hung in the air between them like a bridge neither had expected to cross. Margaret's hand froze on the deadbolt, her breath catching in her throat. 23 years. 23 years since she had held a baby boy for exactly 47 minutes before signing the papers that would give him to a family who could provide what she, at 19 and unmarried, could not. She opened the door slowly, as if the young man might disappear if she moved too quickly. When their eyes met, she saw her own looking back at her, the same deep brown, the same slight upturn at the corners when uncertain. But it was more than that. It was the way he held his shoulders, the familiar gesture of running his hand through his hair when nervous. "David," she whispered, his name feeling both foreign and familiar on her tongue. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said, his voice carrying a gentle politeness that made her heart ache with recognition. "I've been looking for you for a while. The adoption agency. They helped me find you when I turned 18, but I wanted to wait until I felt ready." Margaret stepped aside, gesturing for him to enter. "Please, come in. I can't believe you're here." Her voice trembled slightly, a mixture of joy and terror coloring her words. "I think about you every day. I have since ... She couldn't finish the sentence. David stepped into the foyer, his eyes taking in the family photos lining the hallway pictures of Margaret, with her ex-husband and their 2 children. A life that had unfolded after his birth like chapters in a book he had never been part of. "You have other children," he observed, not with bitterness, but with a quiet understanding that made Margaret's chest tighten. 2. Emma is 20, and Jake is 18. You're the eldest." She paused, studying his face. "Would you like some coffee? Or tea?" "I was just ... I was folding laundry." "Actually," David said, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth, "I'd like to help you with that, if you don't mind." I find folding laundry oddly therapeutic. Margaret laughed, a sound that surprised her with its genuine warmth. That's very kind of you. Though I have to warn you, I'm quite particular about how things are folded. I think I can handle it, David replied, following her toward the laundry room. My adoptive mom, Helen, she taught me that there's a right way and a wrong way to fold a fitted sheet. I'm guessing you might have opinions about that. As they walked through her house, Margaret found herself stealing glances at this young man, who shared her DNA, but was essentially a stranger. He moved with an easy grace, his presence filling the space in a way that felt both natural and miraculous. When they reached the laundry room, he rolled up his sleeves without being asked, reached for a pillowcase. Helen Morrison, Margaret said softly, testing the name. She raised you well, I can tell. She did, David agreed, his hands working the fabric with practiced efficiency. She and my dad, Robert, they gave me everything I could have asked for. But they also made sure I knew that you made an incredibly brave choice, giving me up. They never let me feel unwanted or unloved. Margaret's throat tightened. I need you to know, David, that giving you up was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was 19, unmarried, and my parents. They made it clear that keeping you wasn't an option. But holding you in that hospital room. She paused, her hands stilling on the shirt she was folding. I memorized everything about you. Your tiny fingers, the way you yawned, the soft sound you made when you slept. They worked in comfortable silence for a moment, the rhythm of folding creating a meditative space between them. David picked up a woman's blouse, holding it up with a questioning look. This is beautiful, he said, examining the delicate fabric. The color would look lovely on you. Margaret blushed, a reaction that surprised her. Thank you. I don't wear it often anymore. It's a bit young for me now. I don't think age has anything to do with beauty, David said simply, continuing to fold the blouse with careful attention. My adoptive mother used to say that beauty is about how you carry yourself, not the number of years you've lived. There was something about the way he said it, not flirtatious, but with a genuine appreciation that made Margaret see herself differently. When was the last time someone had complimented her appearance? When was the last time she had felt seen, not just as a mother or an ex-wife, but as a woman? Tell me about your life, Margaret said, desperate to know everything about this young man who had grown up without her. What are you studying? What do you love to do? David's face lit up. I'm finishing my degree in social work. I want to help families, maybe work with adoption agencies. I play guitar, though not very well. I love hiking and photography. Anna, I read everything I can get my hands on. He paused, looking at her with curious eyes. What about you? What makes Margaret Chen happy? The question caught her off guard. What did make her happy? For so long, her happiness had been defined by other people's needs and achievements. I used to paint, she said slowly. Before I got married, before life became so complicated. I loved capturing landscapes, the way light falls across. Water. Do you still paint? No, not for years. There never seemed to be time. And then, well, I guess I convinced myself I wasn't very good at it. David set down the shirt he was folding and turned to face her fully. Would you show me your paintings sometime? I'd love to see them. Margaret felt something stir in her chest, a warmth she hadn't experienced in years. They're probably terrible. I haven't looked at them in so long. I doubt that, David said softly. I have a feeling you're more talented than you give yourself credit for. As they continued folding, they talked about everything and nothing. David shared stories about his childhood camping trips with his adoptive parents, school plays, the awkward teenage years when he first started wondering about his birth parents. Margaret found herself opening up in ways she hadn't in years, telling him about her dreams, her fears, the loneliness that had settled into her bones since the divorce. "I know this might sound strange," David said as they neared the bottom of the laundry basket. "But I feel like I've been looking for you my whole life. Not just you as my birth mother, but you as a person. There's something about being here with you that feels right." Margaret's breath caught. "I feel the same way. It's like a piece of me I didn't know was missing has suddenly been found." The afternoon sun was beginning to slant through the laundry room window, casting long shadows across the floor. The simple act of folding laundry together had become something sacred, a ritual of connection that neither had expected. "Can I ask you something?" David said, his voice taking on a more serious tone. "Of course. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had kept me?" Margaret set down the final towel, her hands trembling slightly. "Every day. I wonder if I would have been a good mother to you. I wonder if I would have been strong enough to give you everything you needed. I wonder if you would have forgiven me for the struggles we would have faced." "I think you would have been an amazing mother," David said quietly. "You are an amazing mother. I can see it in the way you've set up your home, the way you care for the smallest details, the way you've been caring for me today, even though we're strangers." "We're not strangers," Margaret said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We're family. We've always been family." David stepped closer, and for a moment, Margaret felt an unexpected flutter of nervousness. He was so handsome, so confident, so alive with possibility, and he was looking at her with such genuine affection that it made her feel beautiful in a way she had forgotten was possible. "Would it be okay if I hugged you?" he asked. Margaret nodded, not trusting her voice. When his arms encircled her, she felt something shift inside her chest, a wall she hadn't even known she had built beginning to crumble. He smelled like sunshine and clean laundry, and his embrace was warm and strong and safe. "Thank you," she whispered against his shoulder. "For what?" "For finding me. For coming here. For folding laundry with me on a Saturday afternoon." David pulled back slightly, his hands still resting on her shoulders. "Thank you for opening the door. For letting me in. For being exactly who I hoped you would be." Margaret looked up at him, this young man who had appeared in her life like an answered prayer she hadn't known she was making. "What happens now?" "Now?" David said, smiling. "We get to know each other. We have 23 years to catch up on." "That's a lot of laundry to fold," Margaret said, attempting levity even as tears threatened to spill over. "I'm looking forward to every load," David replied, and the sincerity in his voice made her believe that maybe, just maybe, the silence in her house would no longer feel like an absence, but like a space waiting to be filled with love. As they stood there in the golden afternoon light, surrounded by neat stacks of folded laundry, Margaret realized that sometimes the most profound moments in life come disguised as ordinary ones. Sometimes love arrives not with fanfare and drama, but with gentle hands and a willingness to help with the simplest tasks. And sometimes the heart finds exactly what it needs when it stops looking and simply opens the door. The laundry was done, but their story was just beginning.